At the time, I think I was like 7, 8 maybe. I was watching the news with my dad, and there's a weatherman. His name is Damon Yanni. And then I looked at my dad and I was like, I have a question. And he was like, what's your question? I was like, is it okay if I find like boys attractive? Because I think Damon Yanni is hot. And he was like, do you think that he's just good looking, or do you think that he's like attractive? I was like, I don't know. I just think he's good looking. And then my dad was like, well, that doesn't mean you're gay, so you're fine. And I said, okay. I grew up like in kind of a religious household. I grew up Catholic, and Catholics believe that it's wrong and like homosexuality is wrong. And also just the community that I grew up in was very homophobic and just didn't really talk about those types of things. So I felt that if I just kept it to myself, then there wouldn't be a problem and I wouldn't cause any issues. When I was in 5th grade is when people started calling me gay. And that was like rough for me, because at that age I was like, what? Like, no, I'm not. Like, that's so dumb. Like, why would I be gay? And then I went on to intermediate school, and that's where it got kind of like rough, because so many people were like, you're gay. Like, just say that you're gay, like stop denying it. And I would be like, no, I'm not gay, because at the time I was like questioning my sexuality. And then I started getting like cyberbullied or whatever, and people would make like fake accounts and text me and say like, oh, you're gay, like all this stuff. So it got like really rough at that point, and I got like really depressed, and it was not a good time. When I was 16, I was on my high school's ballroom company, and for like a week straight, I was just like not like feeling well, and I felt like not real in a sense. Like, it was just crazy. And I was dancing, and like my heart was racing. And so I'm walking out of the school, and I'm like, okay, wait, I'm actually about to pass out. So I go into the office and pass out on the floor. And I wake up, and they're like, Xander, are you okay? Are you okay? And I'm like, I can't feel like my entire left side of my body. And so then we went to the hospital, and they were like, dang, like your EKG is coming back like really tacky, which means like really high heart rate, like kind of all over the place. But we did like all these like tests and everything, and then they were like, oh, you're like, the outer like layer of your heart is inflamed. And I was like, what do you mean? And they were like, it's just putting a lot of pressure on your heart, which can like cause you to go into cardiac arrest. It's called pericarditis. And then they were like, you also have tachycardia, and which is just like extremely high heart rates. So once the word started getting around that I was gay, it kind of took like a weird turn. These boys who used to bully me decided to start reaching out and being like, hey, I heard you were gay, and like that's crazy. Like, of course we all knew, but like, and I was like, oh, yeah. It just turned into like this never-ending cycle through like 4 or 5 boys of just like, I want to experiment with you, but I'm gonna tell you not to talk about it, and gonna tell you that if you talk about it, I'm gonna beat you up. Like, it turned into like a really toxic point in my life, because I was like, is this just what being gay is?
I'm like.
But then just recently, I have been having like really bad like stomach issues, and like a lot of pain in like my chest and my stomach, and I go to the doctors, and we do a bunch of like labs and tests and whatnot, and I go and like see a specialist, and he's like, maybe you have like ulcerative colitis or like Crohn's disease, which is like an inflammatory bowel disease. So we did like a colonoscopy and an endoscopy to see what's going on, but they couldn't see anything. So currently I'm still battling this issue, still losing weight, still can't eat, still nauseous. I still am throwing up 24/7. Like, it's just not fun, and it's really taxing on my body. So there was this day where I went into Zupa's, and I was wearing like a pretty feminine outfit, I would say. But I get up to the counter, and I'm like, can I get, and he was like, we don't serve fags here. And I was just like in shock, and I was like, I'm sorry, like this happens all the time, and like it probably happens to other people. I was like, I shouldn't be too upset about it. So another instance, me and my boyfriend at the time were walking and we were holding hands, as couples do, like straight couples do it all the time, so why can't we? And as we're walking past, this like 14-year-old is like, look at those fags. And this dad like stopped us and he was like, hey, you guys really can't be holding hands here. Like you're like grooming children and you're trying to like push your ideologies on everyone else and blah, blah, blah. And we were like, we're just holding hands, like people hold hands. Like that's just a thing that you do when you're in a relationship. And he was like, well, we don't need these little kids seeing all of that. And you guys just need to keep that in the bedroom. And we were like, no, we're gonna keep holding hands. And then we started to walk away and then he was like, well, I'm gonna call security. I'm gonna call security and get you guys taken out of here for harassment. And like, I wasn't the one harassing. Like, he came up to me and stopped us and did all of that, and it was just very frustrating. So as much as it hurts to like be called these names and like to have that happen in public and to be like publicly embarrassed and be refused service at a restaurant, I just have bigger problems to deal with rather than like dwelling on people thinking that I'm like an abomination or things like that, because like mental health is really important, but like my physical health comes first. People just don't understand that who you're approaching, someone that you've never met before, has like these problems going on in the background that you don't know about. Like, I'm a person and words hurt, and like I should be allowed to live as much as everyone else, and I should be allowed to express myself as much as everyone else has the right to.